From gardening to animals to extreme renovations, welcome to homesteading at College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're continuing our series on casual and complementary prepping with part 2. We're answering the question, how much food do you need to raise for a year? And to help us answer that question, you know that if you watch the last video, which is, I'll put a link to right here. If you watch that last video, you know that what happens is we only grew 488,000 calories worth of food in our garden. And it's a considerable amount of garden food. Okay, we're not talking about a little bit, we're talking about quite a lot. But it only wound up being about 34% of the calories required. And we talk about that in the previous video. Again, you can look at the link. But now we want to talk about what we can do to increase the amount of calories on our homestead. And today's topic is going to be pork. You know, when I was a kid, we always had hogs. We grew hogs. We slaughtered them. Slaughtering hogs was a family event every November. You know, that was what we did. We slaughtered our hogs, and it was a real family event. So let's look at, again, we're talking about two people. For two people for an entire year, it takes 1,460,000 calories. Try that again, 1,460,000 calories. Now with our garden, we got 34% of that knocked out. So we're going to talk about pigs. So we've got 911,863 calories to make up in order to get to that year mark. Well, bring on the lowly pig. And I'm not going to call them pigs much more because they're hogs. I'm going to talk about Appalachian style hogs. So when we looked at those, that was a staple at Mom and Pa's. You know, they grew 2 pigs every year, and it was just a major staple in Appalachia. Everybody grew pigs. Now, let's talk about it. Here's a little example of what I'm going to talk about as far as pigs go, and let's take a look at that. Let's talk about pigs. When we look at a pig, we think of the nice, cute, pink things that they grow, or we think about something like this that are just big enough. But what I want to talk about are Appalachian pigs. Pigs that are big, 400, 500-pound hogs that are not these little bitty baby pig things like you see on TV. We're talking about something that's going to put some meat on your table. Now in Appalachia, when the land was hard scrabble and the homesteaders had to make a living off of pigs, they grew what they could raise and eat. They wanted as many calories as their pig would provide. Now, there are a lot of cuts of pork. I'm not going to go into all those. You can see the picture. There's a lot of cuts of pork. There's offal. There's all kinds of different things, and everything has a different calorie rating. So what we're going to talk about is how many calories can you get from the average pig. Now, we're going to take an example of raising pigs, say 2 350-pound hogs, because you raise them together because hogs are social animals and they want company. So you raise those, and from the live weight, you're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 50%. So let's say each pig gives you 150 pounds. That's 300 pounds of lean pork. Now, for that 300 pounds of lean pork, there's 528 calories per pound. Remember that. We'll come back to that later. Now, one of the most important commodities that comes from a pig is pig fat. Pig fat is used in so many different things. You can put it in biscuits. You make it in your cornbread. It becomes the oil that you have on your homestead. So if you think about it, each pig is going to give you, each one of those 350-pound porkers is going to give you somewhere between 45 and 55 pounds of fat that you can turn into lard. Lard is one of the great commodities on the homestead. So, and lard is 4,077 calories a pound. It's a superfood. There are lots of types of hog meat. There's offal, liver, lights, the lungs, the kidneys, the brains, all that stuff. Old Appalachian homesteaders never let nothing go to waste. I loved eggs and brains. Anyway, I still do. Anyhow, let's talk about what you're going to get from a pig. Now, we talked about raising 350 to 400 pound hogs. That's what Paul would have raised. He killed a few 500 or 600 pound hogs that I remember. Couldn't hardly raise them on our tripod. You know, we didn't have a tractor with a lift back then. We had a tripod that we put up and raised those hogs up. So you got these hogs and you get about 300 pounds worth of hog meat. In other words, pork that's usable to eat. So out of 2 pigs, about 300 pounds, which seems like a lot. It'll fill up a small freezer, okay? It'll pretty much fill up a small freezer. But for that hog meat, you're going to wind up with 300 pounds. It's about 528 calories per pound. So if you multiply that out, you come up with 158,400 calories. For the lean meat, the liver, the lungs, the brains, the tongue, all that stuff combined, about 300 pounds. And it comes out to about 158,400 calories. But then you get the superfood, the greatest thing that a hog has to give. You don't get that out of the modern hogs. You know, they're all lean. Everybody wants lean pork, the other white meat. Well, Appalachian homesteaders and people wanting to make a living off the land, they need an important thing. It's called fat. And hogs will give you plenty of it. Lard is one of the greatest things. That you saw the picture of the metal lard cans. That's the way Paul saved his lard. He kept those cans, or he got the cans from somebody, I don't know. But he always rendered his own lard and put them in those big lard cans, and he called them a stand of lard. So if you got 2 350 pound pigs, hogs, and each one of those, you know, the modern day hog, they grow them out to about 250 pounds, and then they slaughter them because they don't want to have a lot of fat. And I understand that. In today's times, everybody thinks fat's bad, but in Appalachian old times, fat was good. And as a matter of fact, fat still is good. Most of the research now points that lard is a good thing. But anyway, that lard you're going to get from each hog between 45 and 55 pounds of lard, of fat, which you render into lard. And then you get cracklings, but I'm not going to go into that. Cracklings are a great thing, though. But you get lard. Now that lard, you're going to wind up with the 2 pigs, 2 350 pound pigs, 700 pounds worth of pork. You're going to wind up with somewhere around 100 pounds of lard. Now, each pound of lard is worth 4,077 calories. Let me say that again. Each pound of lard is worth 4,077 calories. It's a superfood. So that lard, you render it out, and for that, you get 407,700 calories. 407,700 calories. Wow, that's a lot of calories. That's almost as many calories as our entire garden just in lard. So, we've got the lard, we've got the pig meat. We know how many calories. When you add them all up, it's 566,100 calories. Well, how does that do with the amount of calories needed? Well, if you remember, we needed 1,460,000 calories. We raised 488,138 calories worth of produce, and now we've raised 566,100 calories worth of pigs. So how do we stand? Well, we're still at 405,763 calories yet to go. In other words, we've basically done 66% of the food needs on the homestead for a year. In other words, we've got 8 months worth of food set aside right at the end here at Hogs. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go back and we're going to look at what else you grow on your homestead. There's chickens, there's sheep, there's goats, there's cattle if you want to grow cattle. All those things you need to look at. But remember, those pigs didn't grow in solitude. They had to eat something. As a matter of fact, your pigs are going to need, over their lifetime, about 2,500 calories a day. So they're like having another person on the homestead. So you have to account for that in your sustainability plan. Now, for a year, you can buy, okay, you could buy up your stuff and have it saved up. Takes about a ton of feed to feed a hog out till full grown. And if you're supplementing, might be a little less, but so we're talking about you got to have a lot of feed in order to feed these hogs. But that is the subject for another video. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself, prepping, how much do I need kind of stuff, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. If you hit the little icon down there, it'll take you to our channel page, and there you can subscribe. And if you hit the little bell, it will notify you when we upload a video. We upload videos every Sunday, sometimes 1, sometimes 5, just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. And now it's time for me to get on to the next thing.